In this next video, I'm going to go over the pockets. This pocket looks huge right now because I have a big hem allowance on the top, and I also have a wide allowance all the way around. So you always want to start with small components. A lot of you have already had a lot of advanced classes, so I'm not sure how much detail I need to go into. Maybe I'll probably aim on a little bit more detail, and if you can fast forward if you don't need it. So what I'm going to do is go pre-press my pocket at the notches. I have a half-inch allowance at the very top, and then I'm going to fold it over again at the notches and then top stitch that. So I'll go ahead and do that now. I'll just give you a close-up of that, or a little bit better view. So right side of the wrong side. So it's clean finished. There is a half-inch allowance down at the very top. And now I'm going to top stitch that. So I'm top stitching it to catch the 1-inch margin. Back stitch both sides. Nice and clean. It's a very important place on the shirt that you see as sort of a focal point, so it should be really tidy. All right, I don't have great light over here. I'm gonna have to make something happen with that soon, but for this one, I think I can handle this. Got my machine all ready. And it's really interesting looking at men's shirts. They have very, very tiny little stitches. I do not have the size of needle that I would like to have to make this work. I have a 12, I believe, in there right now. But I think a 10, or even maybe a little bit smaller one, I don't know if the 8 is the next size. Yeah, probably an 8 is the next size smaller. Would be interesting to try. And so you want to have your stitches on at least 2.5, maybe even smaller if you have a lot of experience with this. I don't recommend having really small stitches if you're new. And I'm going to be using the guide here at 1 inch to sew this top hem in. You can see that I'm just catching the fold. When I haven't used my machine for a while, it gives me a little bit of trouble. There. Now I'm being more careful than usual because this is sort of this focal point. I want this to look really nice on here. And notice that I am doing it from the correct side of the garment. Again, same reason, it's always going to look better from the right if you're sewing things from the right side. Okay, there's other places where you can cheat, but this isn't one of them. All right, so my little stitch line looks nice. Next thing I'm going to do, I have to make a template for myself to do this curve. I'm going to iron it under, just around that curve. So I'm going to need to make a little template for that. Okay, I'm going to make a template. My template will not have any seam allowance on it, so I'm going to gauge the size of the paper that I need. It's regular tag paper, and I'm going to fold it in half so I get a full piece. And then either staple it onto the tag paper right up to the fold so it doesn't move around. You don't need a ton, just a little bit. And then use your awl or your, I like the awl, or your tracing wheel to mark in the shape that you have. So straight line down to where it starts to curve, and then, oops, straight line down to where it starts to curve, and then I'm just poking along the curve with enough dots that I can see it after I undo it. And then back straight to the end here. After that, take off your staples. And I'll draw that in. You can't see it. Here. Further there. All right. I missed one little mark on the other side. I think that's okay. All right, now I'm going to cut it. Again, you want it to be stable while you're cutting. You'd be amazed at how much it moves around. And I really like these big scissors. Okay, so just cutting it. Okay, well, I find a couple things can be easier when I'm cutting something really challenging like this, so tiny. First of all, reducing the amount of material that you have around it is easier. Make sure that you're cutting with the blade of the scissor on the line. Can you see what I'm doing? And then I lift it up as I'm going so that it's a little bit easier to turn it. You definitely get better, and you also lose it sometimes if you haven't done it for a while. I haven't done it for a while using scissors, so a little out of practice. All right, so there we go. My template is done. Undo that. And then let me get my ideally, in a perfect world, you can line your pocket up. It's a very simple pocket. You can line up your template sort of the way it should be. I'm looking at how weird that is. Cutting. Which one is wrong? Am I cutting? Yeah, I'm gonna make some adjustments here. That's weird. I guess I just was moving too quickly. It's weird. So that's about a 16th off all the way around. Anyway, I don't have to fuss with that much for this. Okay, but what you want to do is align this on here. In fact, what I can do is just move it up a little bit. Oh, that'll work just fine. And sometimes you can just put the iron around and just sort of whoosh it in there and make it all work. I'll give it a try. Sometimes that is okay and sometimes not. You can see it's kind of funky here, but sometimes it works just fine. Sometimes it's more complicated and you need to put in a basting stitch to make it actually work. So I'll give it a try and see what happens. Okay, so this is what that looks like. Let's see, kind of weird. On the, this side is better. I think this side is better. Oops. This side is not as good. And what I do notice that happens often when you do it this way is that all those little points do show up. So it's not perfect. The little points where I folded it in show up more than if I had done it with a basting stitch. So it would be better to do it with a basting stitch, or just keep going over and putting those little pleats in different places or more of them so that it's not all bunched in one place. All right, so the next thing to do is to take your shirt front, the one with the pocket, and we're going to apply the pocket. I'm going to iron this first, so it's a lot easier to iron it now than later, and it's going to affect my pocket. All right, so next is where to put the pocket. I have my drill holes here, so my pocket should fit, cover the drill holes, usually by 1/4 of an inch. So it should cover it by 1/4 of an inch. It's not perfect. Even more important that it's pretty, that it looks even, and you can often look at the grains of the fabric to make sure that it is even. Okay, so it should be even here, and it shouldn't look like it's going downhill or anything like that. So a few pins, and I'm going to think about how I'm going to be sewing this while I'm pinning it. Sewing it from here around, so I don't have to move my pins around. And then maybe one here and here. So usually just sort of a few pins. I take it out well before I get to the corners. It does look still a little bit crooked. And I don't know what happened here. It must be a flaw on my fabric. Take the time to make it look even. It's really worth it in the end. So at this beginning point, you know, it's easy to sort of go, oh, I just want to get it done and try to move forward quickly, but you know, everything's going to get harder from here on out, and every little part is going to have more, you know, issues. You know, as you go, there's always things that come up later. So sooner you're really perfect, the better you're going to feel about it as you go. 3 3/16, 3 3/16. So I'll go ahead and sew that in. So I'm looking back at my sample here, and how small the little triangle is here. I'm going to replicate that triangle. So it looks like it's 2 stitches over from the edge, in between, from the straight to the angle. It's very, very, very minor. So I'm just going to try to do that. What else do I need to make sure that I do? That I am 1/16 away from the edge of the fabric. It's very easy to be there, really not hard at all, just getting used to it. So I'll start that. And then I can also talk about my where I'm going to start and stop. I want it to be all in one run. I don't want it to stop in the middle. So I'm going to start here, go over here, jump over, go all the way down around to the pocket to the other side, go over 2 stitches, and then back to my top hem. All right, so I'll go ahead and do that. So first I have to, that means start upside down. Grab my needle in, and it's just about to go in. I can adjust it so it goes in right where I want it to go, right there. Okay, and then I'm angling, I'm guessing a little bit, but I'm going to angle here. Try to tuck in this extra. Okay, and go. Okay, so I want to back stitch 1, continue forward. Okay, I think I'm okay there. I'm a little too pretty close. Let's see. Yeah, too close. Okay, I'm gonna take that out. Take it out. I'm gonna try it again. There I go. Yeah. So I have to go over twice as far. So I put in a little pin there where I want to aim for, and I think that's going to help me get to the right place. Ah. Stitch. Turn. Try to go over 1, 2. It's just about perfect. Okay, and now I go around, and I'm using following the fold of the fabric is touching the inside of the right foot. As I'm going around these curves, I try not to stop to have I try to keep going so that it's smooth. It will be smoother, but here I'm getting all bunchy, so I have to do a little cleanup. And a little here. Okay, and now we reverse the process, so we go straight to the end. Turn. 1, 2. Now I aim back for my back stitch for sure. One more because I did that on the other side. All right, so there's the pocket. Cut off all of your threads. And that is that for this video.